This video is about when you should tell and not show. I know that might seem like we're breaking a rule, the show don't tell, but remember as authors, you need all the tools in the toolkit. We're going to do some great examples coming up quick. This is a must-have video, so let's do an example. Sarah's fingers fumbled over the cold metal keys, her breath shallow as she glanced nervously down the empty apartment hallway. Created some great atmosphere and tension here. But what about if this isn't the pivotal part or moment of this chapter or part of your story and it's coming up? The next part is where we really want to focus on how she feels or how she interacts. And maybe it's better, instead of showing here, to just tell the reader, guide them in to the next moment, which is more important. So instead of all of that, let's just simply say Sarah struggled to unlock the door, and we can still add some tension here and suspense. Now, what I like about that is we're immediately getting to the more important scene that's coming next. And yes, we're having less sensory detail. It's not as immersive, but I'm doing this for intention. I want to increase the pacing to guide the reader quickly into the more powerful scene coming up. I like that bit of foreshadowing I added, but that's all I need. And now it's time to move on. This is when I want to focus on dialogue and not description. So Mark's cheeks flushed and he avoided her gaze, twisting the edge of his sleeve between his fingers. "Really?" he asked. Sarah's face turned red and she scolded. "Is that all you're going to say?" "Good. We're adding a lot of emotional texture and using body language. I want the readers to feel that discomfort. But now let's imagine this scene is all about the dialogue. So I really don't want to focus on the description. So how do we improve this and use telling techniques rather than showing to convey the same weight? How about this? Mark was embarrassed, unsure. "Really?" he asked, without looking at her. A heavy beat. Then she demanded, "Is that all you're going to say?" Now, what I like about this telling version versus the showing, I'm speeding up the moment. I'm getting the reader focused on the dialogue. To me, the pacing is more important than the detail. So the banter and back and forth of the people talking, to me, is much better than the description. And that's a choice I'm making here. And that's a choice you're going to have to make in your stories. Now, why telling is a little bit important in this scene is I don't want to focus on that big emotional beat here. There isn't. This is meant to be a much longer conversation. And I can quickly summarize the feeling and keep it going, because the feeling is going to carry on in other ways in my story, and I don't need to keep repeating it. And that's where it leads into this other really great example. Now let's look at the showy version. He dropped the keys again. They clattered against the tile, sharp, too loud in the quiet. The phone still glowed on the counter, the last message unopened. He didn't move to pick it up. He leaned against the fridge, slid to the floor, and stared at the blank wall until dusk folded into night. This is a good showing version. We're using a lot of details. We're showing the grief and collapse through body language and action. We're building atmosphere. And we don't have any need to summarize this paragraph here. I think we explain it quite well. But now imagine if this is only one day of many that the character goes through this. So instead of actually then going the next day and going through the full description of how that day feels to that character, immersing the reader fully in the next day and the day after, why don't we do something as simple as this? It was the worst day of his life, and tomorrow you'd have to live through it again. So here I'm using a telling technique to actually add some emphasis, to add more emotional weight to this part and get rid of that redundancy. I don't need to go immerse the reader in every single moment in every single scene. Sometimes I just need to guide them to the next pivotal scene, and that's where we're at. And we can actually even add some emphasis in a telling way of writing versus showing, and that's okay. You need to choose what's best for your story. So let's go on to this next example. He skidded to a halt, heart hammering. His breath came in short gasps, bogging in the cold air. He pressed his back to the brick wall, listening. 1 second, 2, only silence. The reader's going to experience that relief, terror, doubt alongside the character, and that's great. But what if that second paragraph is not the end point or the main point you want to get across, and that comes later? Maybe the chase is less important to what the character is going to find. So are we then going to show every single paragraph and go really flesh out the description, detail, actions, and behaviors? Or can we summarize that and we want to speed up the pace to make it feel more tight and urgent? So let's try this. Let's keep that first paragraph and let's get rid of the second. And we can summarize it as quickly as this. He lost them for now. It really is just about the purpose of the moment and how this moment serves the story. Do you need to stop and slow down and immerse the reader? If so, showing is better. But if you can summarize and guide the reader because there's more important pivotal moments later, telling then is better. Now, telling is often better if you need to skip time or compress information. Minor details aren't really worth it. You don't need to show it. You can just say it. He looked tired. Could be just good enough. You want to keep that emotional distance. Maybe by telling, you're actually emphasizing that denial or shock or detachment of the character. And that could be a very effective way to do it. Or you're writing a very fast-paced scene, or you're avoiding continuous descriptions of conveying emotion or feeling, and you think you reader gets it and you just need to summarize it and move on. And that's when telling is a fantastic tool in your toolkit to guide your story along. Writing is like you're going for a long hike. Sometimes you need to stop, enjoy the moment, check out the scenery, immerse yourself in the feeling of being there. Hopefully this video has helped in giving you a better understanding of what to tell and not show in your writing. And if you happen to like these videos, click like and subscribe. Happy writing.